What's going on? This is WWE TNA Savior 1, motherfuckers. And this is, of course, Rebooking ECW vs WWE 2005. Now, only I'm doing 2005 because, around 2002, the end of the ECW versus WWE era ended. And a lot of the ECW guys parted ways after that. Most guys had contracts still with WWE. Most guys went back to the indie circuit. Guys like Raven, Chris Benoit, Tommy Dreamer, for instance. Tommy Dreamer has got to be one of the longest uh, ECW contenders ever to be in the WWE, longer than the other ECW guys that came into the WWE and then tried to work their way around and stay in. But Tommy Dreamer, he was one of the guys that stayed in as long as possible. He loved the business. He was still putting on great matches. He was still, showing respect to the ECW legend, and he was still being his hardcore self. Even when they revamped ECW back in 2007 and 2008, and it eventually died in 2009, pretty much, yeah, Tommy Dreamer's been around for a long time, and he was one of the last standing ECW members or wrestlers that captivated the ECW look and feel in extreme ways. Um, now, what WWE tried to redo was they tried to reboot the ECW versus WWE storyline, and I don't know what the fuck they were trying to do. Like I said, I've watched the ECW versus WCW and WWE storyline, and I watched the revamp of the ECW versus that was WWE in 2005 and 2006. Now, people want to say that, the storylines wasn't just about John Cena. The storyline was all about John Cena and how John Cena represented what ECW was against. Um, Pretty much, John Cena represented what Hulk Hogan represented back in the early 80s and early 90s of the golden era in the WWE. And that's what John Cena is also carrying, forth. That even though Hulk Hogan didn't pass the torch to anyone, I mean, WWE said, you know what, we're going to have you go out there, be the superhero that everyone loves and hates at the same time, and put on these masses and pretty much be a product of the system. Now, pretty much when ECW first came back in 2005, they had their run-in with when Eric Bischoff was the general manager of Raw. Now, Eric Bischoff was the general manager of Raw at the time. He was the longest-running general manager since Mick Foley and Shane McMahon. Now, when it comes to that, John Cena was the WWE champion at the time. Now, John Cena was the WWE champion, he wouldn't have been in the storyline. If he wasn't a champion, he would have been in the storyline, period. So, they had their first match at Extreme Rules, the reboot ECW pay-per-view Extreme Rules. And what kind of got a little off on me was that not only that they had matches with the top guys of ECW and just one of the top guys, John Cena at the time. They had John Cena versus Sabu at Extreme Rules 2005, or was it One Night Stand? I think it was Extreme Rules. But also, a year later, they tried to revamp it again, and they had some unfinished business with ECW, and then had John Cena versus RVD for the not for the World Championship, the WWE Championship, and that's when RVD became not only the WWE Champion, but also the ECW Champion. at the same damn time. Now, a lot of you will want to argue with me with the whole ECW revamp and reboot. The ECW vs TNA reboot was fucking horrible. I don't know what in the hell ECW was thinking, what Tommy Dreamer or Dixie Carter was thinking. I don't understand why they made that business move that they did. I would have went back to WWE and did another reboot of, you know, the ECW versus WWE storyline. Now, a lot of people like the ECW versus WWE storyline because one, it's different, and two, yes, Vince McMahon did fund ECW or help fund ECW because ECW was just like they were like the outcasts of the wrestling industry, and they were because while WCW, AWA, and WWE had all these top guys and they were all flashy, they didn't. ECW didn't give a shit about if you were riding fast cars or getting all the women and dressing all fancy and shit. They didn't care. They liked to wrestle, and that's what they did. They came in and they wrestled. Now, the whole rebooking situation, how I would rebook it, I would totally go back to the invasion angle. But we all know that the invasion pay-per-view fucking sucked. I didn't really like the invasion pay-per-view that much. For the simple fact that, it was just a horrible, horrible way for ECW and WCW to have a final wrestling place and move on from the whole rating wars and shit. I just don't know. I don't know what creative was thinking at the time. But, this is a really big but, I think that the 2005 to 2006 reboot of the ECW vs WWE storyline could have gone totally different route because not only did you have former ECW I keep saying storyline, ECW wrestlers working for WWE. You had Rey Mysterio as champion in 2006. Then you had not only Rey Mysterio versus RVD. Now, I don't know why Rey Mysterio didn't want to go back to ECW because he came from ECW. I don't get it. But and I don't know. I don't get where Kurt Angle found himself going to ECW because one, he wouldn't have fit in ECW back in the day. Back in the early '80s and '90s, he wouldn't have fit in ECW. I mean, maybe in the early stages of ECW when they were, what was it, Eastern Championship Wrestling or some shit like that. Before they changed their name to Extreme Championship Wrestling, with Shane Douglas, he would have fit perfectly. But when Extreme Championship Wrestling started to, change their style up a little bit, he wouldn't have lasted 2 months in a bingo hall. He wouldn't have lasted 2 months. Not even that. Now, if the WWE is trying to, startle or spark the fire of a ECW reboot or ECW takeover again, it's not going to work completely. Why? Because Paul Heyman has too much on his hands right now dealing with Triple H and Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar facing Triple H at SummerSlam. And with that being said, you have the Dudley Boys in TNA, which aren't tag team anymore, sadly. You have the Dudley Boys in TNA, Sabu in the Extreme Rising. You have fucking New Jack in Extreme Rising, and then you got so many other guys in any promotional circuits and shit like that. It wouldn't even work. It would not work rebooting ECW for another run. Wouldn't. It died in 2009-10, and it's going to remain dead. But if so, Paul Heyman does try to, scary and make a little storyline where he tries to take over the WWE. I think that will happen because you know why? Triple H doesn't really have it. To me, he's a clusterfuck right now. Vince McMahon, he's trying to get away from, you know, the spotlight and the TV shit. He's trying to get away from that, and he doesn't. He acts like he doesn't want any part of it. It seems to me he doesn't want any part of it. But you know, at the same time, if Paul Heyman were to have a full-time contract with the WWE, I think he should take over the whole WWE in the whole. I mean, the WWE lately has been sort of catching my drift a little bit, but who says catches your drift anymore? Has been catching my drift lately. I've been watching it. And yes, I have notes. Oh yeah, by the way, that is Edge completely, and I drew all over it. But anyway, oh yeah. I don't know why I got this cup, but knowing how much the YWC hates, no, knowing the YWC, they know that I hate fucking Randy Orton so much. I hate this guy with the passion. I met this guy in person, but that's gonna be for another video. Alright? So, I'm gonna make a part 2 of this video because I kind of rushed it a little bit, but I'm gonna make a part 2 of this video, and like, comment, rate, subscribe, and subscribe to my other channel because I'm a little bit more crazier on that channel, but I'm a little more laid back on this channel because when it comes to wrestling, I gotta be more precise and correct and not be biased, you know. But you like to be biased here and there. It's the YWC. But like, comment, rate, subscribe. Who rates anymore? It's like now, right? Oh yeah. What I think. But anyway, peace. It's alright. Cool.